Omar Khan is the GOAT. He is the best GM in the National Football League, hands down. No debate, because I don't think you can dial up this draft any better than what the Steelers have going right now. I don't think you could have mocked it up better if you tried. Think about it. Going back to Thursday, Troy Fontenot in the first round, pick 20. He wasn't available at pick 20, and at least the mock drafts I was doing. He was projected top 15, top 10. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if he fell in any of your mock drafts, but I don't remember him being there at pick 20. But we're able to just chill there, not give up any assets, not do any trades, and get our starting right tackle. And then in the second round, Zach Frazier. Where was he going in the mock drafts? Late first, early second. Typically wasn't there at pick 51. If you wanted Zach Frazier, if you wanted one of those top 3 centers, you had to trade up like me and Moats did in our Wednesday mock draft. We did exactly what the Steelers did with their first 2 picks. We drafted a right tackle, and then to get a center, we were like, yo, we got to trade up in the second round, which we did, and took Zach Frazier. But in real life, we didn't have to make any trades. And we're able to just chill there and draft our starting center for 2024 and hopefully for the next decade. And then in round 3, and filled our biggest position of need as well. And then the third round, Roman Wilson. He was going mid-second, late second. Maybe on rare occasion he was going in the third, but it wasn't middle of the third, I'll tell you that. It was like the first or second pick in the third round. The Steelers were able to get him with their middle of the third round pick. And then we get our late third round pick, the extra pick, the Kenny Pickett pick, arguably the best inside linebacker in this draft class. And Payton Wilson was nowhere to be seen in the third round of all the mock drafts I did. He was going middle second, late second. He wasn't even going early third like Roman Wilson was. He was gone by the second. There was no chance he was available in the third round because, again, he was or is one of the best inside linebackers in this draft class. Arguably the best. If you want to take out the injuries and just go off straight production in college, he is the best. But let's not act like he's all production and is just all a college football player. No. He's got upside too and can translate to the pros because he's 6'4" and ran a blazing fast 40 for an inside linebacker at a 4.4. No, it's the injuries that scared teams off. And in a way, the Steelers can thank some of the teams that were scared off by those injuries because it enabled Wilson to fall to us in the third. Now, let's not act like it doesn't come with some risk, but it's not like we're taking him in the second and are bypassing taking Zach Frazier. No, we already got Zach Frazier. We got our O-line built up here. We got our O-line reinforced, and we scooped the receiver. So we hit on our top 3 needs already, and then you mean to tell me we're just sitting there with our extra third-round pick, and it's like, oh, wait, one of the best linebackers are still here. We could use a corner, but you know what? We dealt with a lot at the inside linebacker position over these last couple years, specifically last year. It's not going to hurt us to add a Payton Wilson into the room. Because if the upside pans out, if the development pans out, dude, Patrick Queen and Payton Wilson, are you kidding me? That's better than Patrick Queen and Jeremiah Trotter. And like I was talking about maybe getting Jeremiah Trotter with that second, third round pick, or maybe in the fourth round. And just thinking like, oh man, maybe Trotter could be the perfect partner for Patrick Queen long term. No, we got the better version of that in Payton Wilson. It's just, the injuries, they're there. But let's not act like people with injury histories that were extremely talented coming out into the NFL didn't pan out. Like, there are dudes that have panned out. They fell in the draft like a Miles Jack. Honestly, he's one of them. He would have went in like the top 10, top 15 if it wasn't for some of his injuries in UCLA. Ends up going in the second. But he had a really good career. We got to see some of it firsthand. Frank Gore, another one. Red flags coming out of Miami. But he ended up staying steady and put together, I guess, a borderline Hall of Fame career. Is that a crazy take? Is that a hot take? I don't know, because he's got the numbers, but there was never one point in Frank Gore's career, like season in and season out, I'm sitting there and saying, yeah, Frank Gore, he's one of the best backs in the league. I never said that, but Yeah, shout out to Frank Gore. He overcame some of the injury red flags, the injury history. So why can't Payton Wilson? It's there. It's something to consider. I get it. But at the same time, I think the value was incredible because if he does pan out, bro, watch out. This defense is going to be dangerous, not only for this year, but for years to come. Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen, and then you got TJ and Highsmith still on the outside. JPJ hitting his prime. Minka Fitzpatrick will still be out there on the back end. Keanu Benton hitting his stride, hopefully. Dude, not only is the offense improving, we got the trenches built up. We're getting back to like those Pouncey and DeCastro days on the O-line. Not only that, man, we got the defense cooking. We're going to have the defense cooking, too. I don't think that's going to be taking a backseat at all. I don't think that's going to be on the downward trend at all. No. But let's go pick by pick, I guess. Each one's an A, at least an A, right? Not even an A minus. Each one's at least an A, which would total out to this draft thus far being an A plus. It's unbelievable. We talked about Fautanu yesterday. I'm sorry, I was botching his name too. I probably even botched it earlier in today's show. I think I said Fautanu. It's Fautanu. I gave him an A. After all the dust settled, you guys heard my final score on Fautanu. It was an A. Initially, it was a B minus, but then I heard we're definitely going to be playing him at tackle, most likely right tackle. He's taller than what ESPN was giving him credit for. He's got the skill. He's got the talent. I was watching some of the tape. So, final score for him. He's going to be our starting right tackle, hopefully. We get to move Broderick over to left tackle. Is at least an A. It's specifically, too, with how the rest of the draft played out. Maybe it would be different if we drafted Troy, and then we weren't able to get a center. But no, we were able to get one of the top 3 centers in Zach Frazier, and that is, again, an A. I mean, I guess you could give every pick maybe even an A+. I don't know. It's just good. All I know is just damn good. This draft is amazing, and each pick has been amazing, too. Incredible value. Frazier was there. Could you argue for A.D. Mitchell because he was still there chilling? Maybe, because that was the only other guy I would have considered at that point. But we needed center. That was the assignment. You need to come out of this draft with your starting center for 2024. And we did in Zach Frazier. I was getting a little nervous there. Jackson Powers-Johnson, he was taken by the Raiders. And then obviously Graham Barton went to the Buccaneers in the first round. But Steelers didn't even have to trade up. And we got Zach Frazier, an absolute technician. A dude that maybe you can argue was the safest center pick in this draft. I know Barton and Powers-Johnson got some more upside, but Frazier might be just that all-around better center. All-around better center. But, yeah, I don't think you could have argued with any of the 3, and I think we're just lucky that Frazier was there at 51 and we're able to get him. And then Roman Wilson, really like this pick, man. I think we're still going to be looking for an outside guy because Wilson will be our slot receiver, which I'm happy about because when have the Steelers actually had, by label, a slot receiver? We had dudes that could play in the slot. Maybe you could argue Hines Ward, but he was an outside. Hines was an outside guy too. Like Juju, we played in the slot, but would you say he was specifically a slot receiver? No. So Roman Wilson, maybe he could be a Julian Edelman type for us. You know, just work in the slot. Because that's what he did in Michigan. He didn't play many snaps on the outside. But I like this pick. And maybe that's why he fell. Because he's specifically labeled as a slot receiver. Doesn't provide as good a versatility. But in today's NFL, we know how valuable it is to have a type of slot receiver that can get open in an instant and be a quarterback-friendly target. And Roman Wilson ran a 4.3. He ran a blazing fast 40, a 4.340. Was cooking Quinyon Mitchell at the Senior Bowl. You saw that at the top cornerback in this draft. Roman Wilson was getting big time separation on him. And what's cool about Wilson too is that he could get open down the field as well. Like I was watching some stuff from him yesterday. He was open down the field. It was just J.J. McCarthy was underthrowing him a little bit. And Wilson had to make more of an acrobatic catch than what was probably needed if McCarthy just put some more air under it. I mean, I like this pick, man. He was supposed to go second round. He's one of those really good receivers in this talented receiver class. He should be a big-time asset for us. Big-time asset. I feel like I think this is probably gonna be one of my best takes I've had in a minute here. I think the Steelers, in a way, are building up this offense a little bit like how Russell Wilson and Seattle offense was back in the day. Think about it. We got the trenches being built up. You got a bruiser in Najee Harris back there. You got a Jalen Warren, who is a bruiser in his own right, but can ultimately or additionally give you some of that lightning that Najee Harris doesn't have. So we got that. We got the running game combo potentially that is reminiscent of Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch back in Seattle. But then we kind of got some receivers going too, like DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. We got Pickens, Roman Wilson. Like we need another outside guy still. I would love to get a Troy Franklin, a Javon Baker, but man, how can you argue this Roman Wilson pick? And if there's one team that I'm not gonna argue with about picking a wide receiver in the third round, it's the Steelers. They know what they're doing with their receiver scouting and what they're looking for a dude to translate to the pros at that position. Like, is there any argument there? No, there shouldn't be. I'm trying to think of who the other players were available here. I mean, there was some good play. I mean, there's still Troy Franklin available here for the Roman Wilson pick. TJ Tampa, a couple of the corners. Payton Wilson was there, but we were ultimately able to get him with our second, third round pick. So there could have been an argument for other players, but Roman Wilson was in that mix. Like I wrote down some players in my notes. I was like, okay, these are probably 4 or 5 guys I want with this third round pick, our first third round pick. If we take any one of them, I'll be happy. And Roman Wilson was one of them, so perfect. And then same thing with Payton Wilson with the second, third round pick. I was like, all right, can we get him? You still got Tampa. You still got a Kyrie Jackson. Who else? A Troy Franklin, but ultimately went with Payton Wilson. And I think that's going to end up being a really, really good pick for us. The dude won the Bednarik Award last year in college football, and he also won the Dick Butkus Award. The Bednarik Award is literally the best defensive player in college football award, and then the Butkus Award is the best linebacker in college football. So the production is off the charts. The only downside is the injury history. That's really it. Had some tough shoulder injuries, shoulder surgeries. I think there was one report out there that said he doesn't have an ACL, had 2 ACL surgeries. Listen, Dwan Blair didn't have ACLs at Pitt and was able to make a pretty good career out of not only college hoops at Pitt, but also in the pros in the NBA. I think he lasted like 8-9 years in the league. Hines Ward, I don't think had an ACL, so I don't think that's the be-all, end-all. And like I mentioned with some other players coming out of college football that were extremely talented and productive, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be dealing with injuries all the time in the pros. Like, you could still make an NFL career out of things, like a Miles Jack or even like a Frank Gore. It's red flags for sure. It's something to consider for sure. But it's not like we're drafting Wilson with our first round pick or our second round pick, which is probably based off what he did in college football and his upside and potential, probably where he should have went. But with the injuries and I guess that scaring off a bunch of the other teams, he fell to late third round. And the Steelers are able to benefit from it. But that's it, man. Hell of a draft, dude. Hell of a draft. Don't think you could have mocked this up any better. Really. Going back to what I said at the beginning. What grade do you give it thus far? We're playing with house money now, man. I think we were playing with house money after our first 2 picks. Even after our first 3 picks. Like, bro, yeah, maybe we could have used the corner instead of Payton Wilson. Maybe, but it ain't the end of the world, man. According to Terrell Austin, we had Payton Wilson graded really highly on our draft board. And we're really excited to get him. Same with all these dudes. I think Troy Fontenot, Omar Khan was like, yeah, man, for that Rams pick in front of us, I was pacing back and forth. Those 10 minutes were the longest 10 minutes of my life. We knew who we wanted to take. I'm sure it was the same for Zach Frazier and also Roman Wilson. Like, we got extreme value in all these picks. I'm pumped up, man. Really pumped. But let me know your thoughts. 4th round is actually on right now. So we'll see who we take. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the draft. And stay chilling. Peace.